All right, so in this video, I'm going to talk about the wall that the characters find in season 5 of Stranger Things, and the upside down that in the later in the season turns out to be a wormhole. So supposedly it's a wormhole, although I do not buy into that at all. Not really. And I'm going to talk about this wall because I think it's very, very important. It's extremely crucial. And it ties into my theory of why I think Stranger Things season 5 takes place in Vecna's dreamscape, or a dream reality created by Vecna. Okay, so first, in season 5, it's so interesting because once they happen upon the wall, Dustin starts figuring out what the wall is. He says that it was likely created by dark magic, by dark powers, specifically created by Vecna. And then later on, weirdly, it turns out to be a wormhole. But even when I was watching season 5, it was a little bit weird to me that somehow it would be a wormhole. And then the more I looked at this wall or watched or rewatched the scenes where the wall appears, the more I'm convinced that it is not a wormhole. It is just something that Vecna wants the characters to think in his dreamscape. So why do I think this? A couple of things. Firstly, let's talk about Papa's notebooks, right? In season 4, there is actually a very endearing scene between Papa and subject number 10 in the lab. In one of the memories that Papa shows Al, and or maybe it's actually not a memory that he shows Al, but it's actually something that we see in the beginning of season 4 in a flashback scene. And in this scene, um, Papa is making lab subject 10 mentally figure out, right, telekinetically figure out what he has drawn on a piece of paper. And then this is what he has drawn on that piece of paper. And then 10 says, well, it's a cow. And then Papa smiles and he says, no, well, actually, it's a dog. But, he still seems satisfied with Ten's abilities. So, something crucial that Papa says is that when they talk about this drawing, is that I've never been much of an artist. And it is such an interesting scene because it can seem like an innocuous scene at first. Well, up until the point that they actually figure out that something is going on in the lab and someone is killing people out there in the lab. But the point is that I didn't understand in season 4 why this was included. I just thought that it was sort of a lovely, endearing conversation between Papa and Tan. Not that I consider Papa endearing. I consider him to be a very mysterious figure with so far really inscrutable purposes. Like, I don't know what his ultimate purpose is. But the point is, he says, I've never been much of an artist. And then now let's look at these. So in season 5, not long after the characters start bumping into the wall, so Al and Hop, and then also Dustin and Steve and Nancy, etc. And this Dustin starts putting things together. He's like, oh, this is a wall created by Vecna's dark magic. And that's where my mind watching these episodes went to as well. Because at that point I didn't realize it, of course, like, I didn't know that conformity gate would be a thing. So, and I didn't know that this was a manipulated dream world reality that we're seeing. But I was like, this is weird. Like, these drawings, for example, like, they are artistic drawings. Papa said he was never much of an artist. You saw just right now his drawing of a dog, which looks like a cow, according to Tan. And now he makes drawings that has perfect shading, and they are just very detailed and beautifully executed. So that's one thing where I'm like, these are not like Dustin says that these are Brenner's notes, but I think they are just documents or notes planted there for Dustin to find by Vecna specifically, so that they believe that it's a wormhole, that the wall is a wormhole. Because if they believe that, then for now at least, they do not want to breach the wall. Because remember, Elle tries. She tries to part the wall. She tries to make a hole in it, but she cannot. She actually says she needs more fuel, she needs more food to be able to do so, but she's confident that she can. And then suddenly they find, not much afterwards, they find these notes that say that that's the sort of like the barrier of the wall of a wormhole, so they shouldn't be breaching it. And of course, this is what Vecna would want if the wall is in fact a wall having been created by Vecna to surround Hawkins, so that its residents cannot escape. Because remember, in previous videos said that he entrapped Hawkins residents within his dream world, but of course he has to make sure that even in this dream world, people do not try to escape beyond the wall. And I do believe that in reality as well, in the physical world, there is a wall as well, most probably. But I don't exactly know how this wall works. But what was weird for me is that it's a fleshy wall. So Elle highlights to Mike later on when they meet that it was a fleshy wall. And indeed, if you look at the scenes where, for example, Elle is trying to part the wall, or when they run into the wall, you can see that it's made of the same organic matter as the rest of the upside down, at least the organic matter in the upside down. So it's made of the same vines. And it's not just that on the wall there are vines grown, like SL. Look at that scene again. I think it's in either episode 2 or 3 of I think it's in episode 2 of season 5. She's trying to part it, and you can see that it's made of the same moving, slithering vines and organic material that the rest of the upside down and Vecna, for example, is made of, like those vines, right? When Hop tries to breach the wall bleeds the same black liquid that Demogorgons bleed, right? And also, when they are near it, and especially when Al is trying to make a tear in the wall to see what's behind it, the wall gives the same eerie upside down sounds as the rest of the organic stuff in the upside down, right? So it's like this squelching, tearing, shrieking, chittering sound, rather eerie and terrifying. So it makes me think, like, how could this be the wall of a wormhole? Like, how could this be organic? I mean, I'm not a physicist, so physicists, if you see this, please jump in and give us your views on this. I would be keen to know. But that's why I think that this wall has been erected by Vecna, so that one way or another, the residents of Hawkins cannot go beyond it, because I believe that somehow that would give them a chance to see that there is either Hawkins beyond, or if it's or that the world beyond the wall is the world beyond Hawkins, or because they are in a dream world, right? There has to be boundaries to this dream world. So I'm thinking that perhaps there's nothing necessarily behind it. They would just find that there's nothing behind it, just, I don't know, emptiness. But the point is, I think Vecna needs to make sure that they stay inside it. So in this dreamscape that he creates, then he has somehow Dustin find these notes that say that it's a wormhole, so they don't try to get outside of it. But I don't have a perfect theory on that as to then, for example, why in. Well, anyways, I don't want to go off on a tangent right now. But the point is that I want to highlight that when Elle and Hop are near this wall in episode 2 of season 5, they start walking in its direction because they don't see it yet, but they hear terrifying sounds coming from it. And they say, oh, that's the Demogorgon that we're following, probably. So let's go in that direction. So again, weird sounds coming from that direction. Again, I think it's an organic wall. I think it's made of a lot of the same organic material. And it makes sense that there are, the same sounds connected to life forms of the upside down. Also, I think the wall it looks like it sort of has eyes, but we're gonna get back to eyes later on. I'm not definitely sure about that. And then I also just want to call your attention to how one of the first scenes, I think, in episode 1 of season 5 is someone trying to escape Hawkins. And the military catches this woman and they say, another one trying to escape. And I was thinking, okay, there is a lockdown, supposedly, by the military, but why? But it is implied that a lot of people want to escape. So like another one trying to escape. Like, why do people try to escape so much? Because, I mean, I reckon that there might be people who might be suspecting that something is wrong, something is off, and they try to run away, but the military stops them, right? And I have a theory, but I'm going to talk about it later on, that the military is in a way serving Vecna, even if unwillingly or unknowingly, patrolling the borders of East Hawkins dream world. But more on that later, because I don't want to confuse you with too many jumps ahead. Okay, so we talked about Papa, and now I want to talk about something that really shook me to my core. And I'll be curious to see what you think and hear. So, as I said, there is this scene in season 5, episode 2, when Elle and Hop are near the wall. They don't know it yet because this is going to be the first time that they encounter the wall, but they are near it, and Elle is standing to the wound of Hop. And they have this like very moving discussion about Hop saying that Elle shouldn't be a stubborn punk ass, and they smile. And then there is a thunder. And I watched this scene for another purpose that I'm gonna be talking about later on. But when I heard this thunder, I was like, this is where they're like, oh, the Demogorgon is in that direction, like weird sounds coming from there. And I started paying attention to the sounds. And I kid you not, I'm hearing two words, or to be precise, a phrasal verb, like actual human words, when it's thundering. And I want you to go in there. It's at around 38 minutes, 10 seconds, a little bit after that, when Hop and Elle have this conversation about not being a stubborn punk ass, and then it thunders, and then I hear the phrasal verb, wake up. And they are near the wall. So I'm imagining, I don't exactly know how this wall functions in the dream world. It's not necessarily a physical barrier, I guess, because I think that they are in a dream world, and in the real world they are in a trance, right? In actual Hawkins. If you want to check out my first one or two videos where I explain these various levels of reality that I think are present in season 5. But essentially, so I don't know how this wall operates exactly, but I'm fairly convinced it's been set up by Vecna, and somebody is trying to reach people through that wall, saying, wake up. Because I believe that people in Hawkins, right, they are in a trance, they are in a dreamscape, in a sense, they are asleep. So someone is trying to tell them, wake up. And of course, it makes sense that Elle and Hop would hear this because they are near the wall, right? So I'm actually going to show you the video now. It's not the best quality recording of the video, but I want you to see what scene I'm talking about. And I would love for you to go in there into this episode and listen as well, and tell me if you hear the same thing. So let's check this video out. Just give me a second till I find it. Okay, so let's see.
Be a stubborn punk ass like you?
Yeah, don't be a stubborn punk ass.
Okay, let's listen to that once again. Just the thunder. Like, listen to when it thunders. Like all red and everything. Just listen to the sounds. Okay, I'm hearing wake up. I don't know what you're hearing. If you can't hear properly, because I know it's not the best recording, probably best sound. But I just want you to go in there into this episode and listen to this scene and tell me what you hear. I think it's wake up. I think somebody's calling to them to wake the F up. Okay? And I want to talk a little bit more about the wall. This is a terrible quality photo of when the wall gets hit by that blast of, like, I don't know what it is, like when Nancy shoots the sky. And then there's this blast and it hits the wall. And I don't know, it's weird. It doesn't look like, again, like, even like, go in there again to this scene if you want to, if you have the time. And sometimes you have to like be very patient and freeze the screen, or stop the play of the actual episode at very specific moments to see specific things. But here what I saw is that there does seem to be a wall that seems to have a top, like here. I'm showing you this with my console. So here it seems like there is a wall and it has a top, and above it there seems to be, I don't know, a sky for me. I yeah, I don't know, like this one I might be very wrong about, but this to me, it, I don't know. It could look like a wormhole inside, but even if it was a wormhole, like, why is it all organic? You know, why is it made of the same organic, creepy material that the rest of the Upside Down? I have discussions, but for me, the biggest thing is this wake up. I hear wake up. Okay, check it out and tell me what you think. All right, so in the next video, we're going to talk about Vallaki. This is going to be a very, I think, fun aspect of the last episode of season 5 that we need to discuss, to see if I could be right about all of season 5 taking place in Vecna's dreamscape. All right. Well, stranger things to come in the next video. And for now, bye.